We've reached the single elimination playoff stage of the World Cup, which started with the quarterfinals game that you could call a European basketball classic: Serbia versus Lithuania. After shooting lights out against the Americans, Lithuania started off where they left off and hit their first 4 threes.
It's a promising youngster in the game right now, and another three!
The difference this time was that it didn't create much of an advantage on the scoreboard. Serbia, and specifically Bogdan Bogdanovic, got to the rim at will and closed the gap, finishing the first quarter with just 1 point deficit. In the second quarter, Bogdanovic not only kept scoring in the paint, but also started hitting threes, telling his teammates to stay calm after one of them.
Here is Bogdanovic for three!
Hey, Jeff, what a shot.
The first 2 minutes after the halftime started with the Lithuanians actually coming back and getting within a 5-point distance. But then Stefan Jovic, who only shot 13% from deep prior to this game, hit 3 crucial 3-pointers in the third quarter.
Jovic steps back for three, got it!
Also, Boggy made sure to remind his teammates how they blew a 16-point lead before and lost the game against Italy.
When we were up by, I think, 14-15 in the third quarter, he gave a good speech, about staying calm, staying together and playing smart, and it's the leadership we need. That's our captain.
The Serbians heard their captain and pulled away to close out the game 87-68. Although it hurt seeing my countrymen getting eliminated after such a historic win against US, the Serbians were just a better team that day, and hats off to them. And you know what? I'm still very proud of Lithuania, as before the tournament I didn't even see them making the quarterfinals, so this is definitely staying on. In the post-game presser, Bogdanovic revealed that he was inspired by Boris Asimanic, who lost his kidney after suffering a horrific injury versus South Sudan.
Our teammate, who is still with us, Boris Simanic, he was, guys, I'm good, don't worry, let's win tonight. This is for him as well.
Now, the quarterfinal matchup of USA and Italy had a few interesting angles. First of all, the Italian Basketball Federation and Paolo Banchero had some beef after he chose to play for the USA instead of Italy. Secondly, Team USA got memed really hard after losing to Lithuania in an embarrassing way.
Less than 3 million people, and they beat us!
But hold on a second.
There's more people than that in Chicago!
What was their response? How about coming out the gate with the highest level defensive intensity that completely shut down Italy's offense? While in the first quarter, Italy looked like they could at least compete, that was very short-lived. And remember how Austin Reeves got the worst of it after the loss? Well, he came out to shut all those critics up.
Halliburton. Oh, the follow putback jam!
Also, in the first half, Americans allowed only 24 points from the opponents, which is a crazy improvement compared to conceding 54 against Lithuania. Unfortunately, this quarterfinal lost its intrigue pretty early, and by the middle of the third quarter started looking more like an all-star game.
Procito, what are you doing? And the alley-oop! And Banchero!
I imagine the Italian fans felt like Paolo was rubbing salt into the wound when they had to witness the Italian-American doing that while getting crushed by 37 points. The second day of the quarterfinals started with the return of Germany's Franz Wagner, who faced off against the tournament's Cinderella Latvia. The German star only played in the opening game of the World Cup, having missed 4 games in a row prior. Latvians one more time defied all expectations and started the game against one of the tournament favorites, winning the first quarter by 3 points. Huge part of that was Davis Bertans hitting 1 3-pointer after another and showing why he's called the Latvian laser.
It's Krister Zordiks who's checked in and does it. Davis Bertans!
Also, the fact that Germany's leader Dennis Schroeder started 0 from 6 from the field had something to do with it, but more on his final stat line later. While this really wasn't his game, Schroeder wouldn't be Schroeder if he didn't create the highlight of the game.
Look at Schroeder though, gets it back, and he puts up the lob! And that is probably the best play of the game from Schroeder.
After going toe-to-toe in both second and third quarters, Germany, or more specifically the Wagner brothers, went on a 14-1 run, building a 14-point lead. But the Latvians wouldn't be Latvians if they didn't manage to come back from a double-digit deficit, just as they were down 11 against France or 12 versus Spain in the fourth. And of course, the spotlight was on this tournament's discovery, Artur Žagars, who made clutch plays to cut down the deficit to only 2 points with 33 seconds left to go. And I don't think I need to say much more in this situation, just watch the ending yourself.
It's go time for Germany, they got to get it up. It's Dennis, he misses. Can you believe it? Schroeder misses, Latvia have it. They've got a chance to win it. Bertens! Oh, he had it. They follow. Germany are going to survive. Thomas Bertens had a game-winning three-pointer.
I'm sure everyone in Latvia must have felt like Kristaps Porzingis here when watching those last possessions. Anyways, as sad as it is that Latvia's fairy tale ended, they were definitely the biggest surprise of the tournament, and Latvians should be really proud. On the other side, Germans must have felt pretty lucky winning this game with Schroeder, who yes, made some key plays in the fourth, but overall played a disastrous game, going 4 from 26 from the field. While I think everyone expects Schroeder to have a much better game in the semifinals, Germany's head coach Gordon Herbert will have a lot of work to do before facing USA.
What kind of things you need to improve?
Oh boy, where do you want me to start?
Then it was time for the so-called battle of the MVPs between SGA's Canada and Luka Slovenia. If I said the previous game was surprising, this one was everything you could have expected and more. Two biggest talents of the tournament going at it, and emotions all over the place. I think Dillon Brooks is the perfect player to put on Luka if you wanted to frustrate him, and that's exactly what happened. Right from the start, Brooks was in his face and even received an unsportsmanlike foul for his physicality against Zoran Dragic. Despite that, Luka wasn't happy with the refereeing, and besides constant complaining, also was showing the money gesture towards the FIBA executives. The crowd agreed with Luka and were cheering him every time he had the ball, while Brooks got booed but let the crowd know he loved it.
Brooks to the left, knocks down the three, and then blows kisses to the crowd.
During the first half, neither team was able to pull away, and the scoreboard said 50-50. Things changed in the third quarter as R.J. Barrett took over and got the Canadians ahead by 16 points with a few minutes left to go. While Slovenia managed to make some runs and keep the game alive in the fourth, SGA made sure Canada stayed ahead.
Valuable seconds ticking off the clock. And Gilgeous-Alexander is fouled by Dragic in the act of shooting. He banks it in.
But if I'm being totally honest, all I remember from the fourth quarter was Dillon Brooks getting ejected and the Slovenians complaining to the refs. Those complaints led to another ejection when Luka got his second technical.
Doncic gets in the paint, puts it up, goes down, hoping for a foul, and now he's been teed up and he's gone.
The ref wasn't afraid to eject Doncic with over 6 minutes left of the game, which tells me that the complaining must have been pretty bad. Ultimately, Canada won 100-89. Fun fact, after the game, Luka asked to be in the press conference, even though he wasn't even scheduled to be there at first. And his message was this.
I know I complained a lot. The referee told one of the guys, we're not going to call a foul on him because he's coming at us. But I don't think it's fair.
With this win, Canada advanced to a World Cup semi-final for the first time in the country's history. Meanwhile, SGA became the first player with 30+ points and 10+ rebounds in a knockout game since 1994. The Raptors superfan Nav Bhatia was happy to witness this historic achievement.
Hey, look at that, the superfan from Toronto, Nav Bhatia.
Canada eliminating Slovenia meant that Germany and Serbia now clinched their spots in the 2024 Paris Olympics as the two best European countries. So we were left with these two semi-final matchups, USA versus Germany and Canada versus Serbia. Now you let me know, who do you think is going to the final, who's going to play for the third place, and also subscribe to this channel to not miss out the next recap after the semi-finals. See you then!